My name is Sarah. Welcome to the It is a Sarah podcast. Today it is Monday, January 27, 2025, and in this episode I want to share my handwerk perikelen, that's a Dutch word for crafty adventures, from this week with you. I'm coming to you from the Netherlands, so excuse my Dutchy English. I love to knit, I love to crochet, I love to sew, and I love to talk, so that's the perfect combination for making this podcast. I make my episodes in Dutch and in English, so be sure you pick the right one. Okay, today I want to make a little bit of a different episode. Normally I do a sit and chat, and that's okay, but when I do that every week I get bored. So today I want to play, I want to bring you a little bit more with me in my knitting and crochet life. I'm not sure if it will work out because the biggest challenge is my time. I make 2 episodes a week, even more actually, but I always work on those episodes on Monday, only on Monday, and time is a challenge to do it in one day. And I think this will bring a little bit more of edit work with it, but I don't know. I was really looking forward to do it this way. So we shall see how it will work out. I will start with showing you something very special I received. It is behind me. Let's turn the camera. It is actually quite early in the morning. I think it's about 9, and we are at the end of January, and the light is coming back, so it's a little bit more light. I am really struggling with good quality filming, and that's happening every year because the days are grey and short in December and January, and that really influences the quality of the videos. And it looks as if we get a bright and sunny day today, so that's nice, but still there are a lot of dark spots in our home. We have quite a dark home, so I hope everything will show up good on camera, but I can't promise. The special gift is that beautiful garland above the piano. Let me climb on our kitchen table to give you a proper look. The sun is coming, so that's a good thing. You might see some shadows every now and then. This is a beautiful crocheted garland, and a friend made it for me with a special reason. It is as a reminder of a beautiful day we visited together 2 weeks ago, and also a reminder of our friendship. And it was very special. 2 weeks ago we visited a kind of knitting day. It was not really a knitting or crafting day. It was a day organized by one of my other knitting friends, and it was more musing combined with knitting and crochet. Actually, we did felting. I told about it. I'm not sure if I told about it in my English episode, but really a lovely day. And the friend who organized the day made a crocheted garland for herself with a special reason, and she shared her thoughts about it, and it was really really special and inspiring. And my friend crocheted herself a garland, and then she asked me, can I make one for you too? And of course, I wanted that because it was very lovely. The garland is actually quite adorable, the tiny triangles. Maybe you wonder why I have those pegs under it. I had to search for that word because in Dutch we call them wasknijpers. But Google told me that in English you say clothes pegs to hang your laundry. But as you can see, the triangles, they were a little bit wonky. They are made with acrylic, and acrylic doesn't really block out, I think. So I decided to not wet block them when they would be made of wool or cotton. That would work out, but I decided to just hang them, and with those little tiny pegs, the weight of the peg will keep the point down, so they will get into shape. I think it's time to remove them. I think they are shaped well by now. I really love that my friend put so much time and effort in making me a garland. It's always very special when someone makes something especially for you. And I immediately knew that I wanted to be in front of, no, not in front, above the piano, because that's a spot I see all the time, and it reminds me of our friendship, and it gives me a heart-jumping feeling every time I see it. Today I'm wearing the Kerr sweater from Rebecca from Creabea Designs. It's one of my favorite sweaters to wear, and I think the main reason, I love the design, but the main reason has also to do with the neckline. It has a lower neckline, and that's not the original pattern. I did a modification, but really an easy one. It is a dropped shoulder construction. You knit it from top down, and you start with knitting the back piece, and then you pick up stitches for the left front, and you start knitting the left front, and when you finish that you pick up stitches for the right front, and at some point you connect them. I postponed the connection point. I just switched 2 steps in the pattern. You start with, according to pattern, you start with some increases, and then at some point you connect both fronts, so they are one front and the neckline is closed, and then you have to knit a few centimeters before you are at the point you can join the back and the front and start knitting in the round. I, instead of doing the increases first, I knitted the centimeters first. I don't know how many centimeters it were, and I did it at both sides, and then I did the increases, so there is some more space here before you connect the neckline, before you close the neckline. Very easy to do. It doesn't always work trying to make my neckline lower, but with dropped shoulder construction it definitely is. I have built a tower to put my camera on. I have a standard, but I was lazy. It's upstairs, and I see it's very wonky, and it's also a bit too low, so that's why I'm standing weird, but I don't want to run up and pick it. So maybe I will regret when I see how silly it looks, but don't care. Imperfectly perfect. Okay, sun starts to shine and my belly is making noise, so time for some breakfast and a walk with little Bobby. Okay, I just finished my breakfast. I didn't do my walk yet, but I suddenly realized that this might be my only chance to film downstairs, because I won't be alone the rest of the day, so I have to move to my knitting office, and that's not a problem, but I do want to show you this. This is my corner next to the kitchen table. This is my place. I always sit on that spot, and it's one of my favorite knitting spots. And I have some projects and baskets behind me. This one is my basket filled with my 2 lovely advent calendars. I had 2 at the end of 2024, one from Witzomer, a Dutch dyer, and the other one from Het Wol-based, also a witch dyer, a Dutch dyer. This is not a witch dyer. Both advent calendars are very beautiful, and I definitely, let me turn the camera. I am not working with my advent yarn yet. I do want to, but I'm still considering what I want to make with which calendar, and I don't have a hurry, but it's still standing in the basket behind me. Because it doesn't fit in my fingering weight yarn boxes. I have 2 fingering weight yarn boxes, quite big ones, but there's a lot of yarn in it, and yeah, it doesn't fit. So I can do 2 things. I can declutter my fingering weight yarn, I can knit a lot of socks, I can do 3 things. I can also buy a new box. So I will do that. To keep my advent yarn safe from dust and moths, although it's not moth season now. It's also superwash yarn, so I'm not really afraid of that for the moths, but I will buy a new box. Yeah. Okay, the other baskets, this one and this one, I will tell you more about that in a minute. I will bring them upstairs. And I also have my January sock from the Colorwork Cuff Club. I told about it last week, so I won't bother you with this one, only that I am at the toe decreases from the first sock, so quite close to finishing it, and then I can cast on the second one. It's really nice and helpful to have those baskets so close behind me, because it really gives me a lot more knitting time when I have all the ready to go projects on all the spots in my house. Every time I have a minute, I can grab a project. I don't have to search for it. They are just laying here. And yeah, I really love that.
Nobody gets me.
Okay, today I want to share a knitting project which is really making me happy every morning. I will share a little bit more about that later, but let me start with showing it to you. I think I showed it before, I'm quite sure. It is a blanket and it is the past, present, future blanket. It is a design by a Dutch knitter. Her name is Mirjam Molenbeek. She gifted her pattern to me, so that was very kind of her. The pattern is in English because a lot of Dutch knitters love to work with the English knitting language. The English knitting language seems to be more logical than the Dutch one. When I am reading Dutch knitting patterns, I get so confused, and the English terms are just it's the grammar. The knitting grammar does make more sense. So I prefer English knitting patterns, and I had to learn the English terms because I had no idea, but now I never work with Dutch patterns, and Mirjam has the same opinion. So she makes her designs in English. So yeah, they are available for everyone. Accessible for every English knitting language speaker or understander. You don't have to speak it. Yeah, let me show it to you. Oh, oops. It is a really easy pattern to follow. You are actually repeating 2 rows over and over again, and in the first row you make some increases and decreases, and in the second row you just knit all the stitches as they come. And it's perfectly, Mirjam did design it for using up an advent calendar. I am not doing that. I use all kinds of yarn scraps which were gifted to me. I collected them in a basket, and a lot of them I received last November during the Knit to Purl to festival, but also yeah, several years ago. And for the first time I sorted my mini skeins. I don't know if you can see it, but it's on my bed, on my desk. It's a basket, I will show you later, with all the bright colors. I did sort them out. Normally when I make scrappy projects I just use all the colors, and they get quite bright and colorful, and I love that. I really love how such a big colorful mess still can be balanced. But this time I really want to make a blanket in colors I prefer, and I love the more muted, the moody colors. I have had a conversation with friends about how to call my color preferations. Muted, moody colors. So I did separate them, I did sort them out, and I really love it because I really love all the colors in it. And I will do something nice with the other ones too, but it was fun to yeah, to use only the muted colors this time. There are all mini skeins and all different weights. No, not it's all fingering weight, but the mini skeins all. I have big skeins and small skeins, and the stripes are not even, and that I just knit when until they are completely in the blanket, and then I tie a new one together with the magic knot. How do you say it? Like tie it together? I think that's correct. I attach a new strand of yarn with the magic knot, but I don't trust the magic knot. I am sure I am doing it the right way. I checked it over and over again, but just I had a few experiences when the knot got loose, and that's not something you want into your knitting. So I didn't cut off the yarn. I think I will weave it in, but I don't really like blankets with ugly backsides, with very specific visible backsides. That's why I prefer crochet blankets. But this one, yeah, I think the ends are at the front and at the back. It has no specific front or specific back, so it's garter stitch. Yeah, so I think I will weave them in as invisible as possible, and that's the best solution. It is a very easy pattern. I think it's beginner friendly. The only challenge might be the cast on, because you are making, let's see, go away. You are doing an I-cord cast on. I don't know if you can see it this way. I'm making it quite dark. Yeah. And the I-cord cast on is quite challenging because there are a lot of stitches, and it is not, I don't know if it's a hard thing to do. For me it is, but it has to do with your patience. I don't think I have a lot of patience, and it really made me every now and then. So that was the most challenging part. But Mirjam decided to do that, and also you knit an I-cord border as you go on both sides, and that way you really create a nice blanket as well at the bottom as at the sides, and you end with an I-cord bind off, so you don't have to pick up stitches for a nice border when you are finished, when you are almost finished with the blanket. So that's really nice. So a little bit challenging, the cast on, but then it's just knitting back and forth. And I divided my stitches with little tiny stitch markers. The pattern is not hard, but when the pattern is, it's not really hard, but you have to do increases and decreases at specific spots. You don't have enough attention, and I don't have enough attention, and I make mistakes all the time, even though it isn't hard. So I decided to use stitch markers, and it really makes my blanket knitting life more easy. I did one modification. The increases in the middle part, I did choose another way of increasing than the pattern tells you to, and I use yarn overs because I love to add a little bit of Sarah sauce, and also I think it was more easy. The other one is not hard too, but this one is more easy to knit and to recognize. So yeah, and I love it that there is a little bit more focus on the vertical stripes too. You have the horizontal stripes with the colors, and then the vertical stripes with the increases and decreases. I love that combination. Yeah, so in the beginning I did cast it on a week after the Knit to Purl to festival, and it was a very special moment to do because there is a lot of love catched into this blanket from all the nice people. In the beginning I worked a lot on it, and now it's my early morning knitting project. I always start my day with a cup of coffee and some knitting or crochet, and I knit 2 rows every morning. Sometimes when I have more time I do 4, 1 row, back and forth, 1 row. That's weird. In Dutch we say heen en terug, but in English you say it around, back and forth. But you go forward first and then you go back. But you say you go back first and then you go forward. That's confusing. I do 1 row forward and then 1 row back, forward and back, and then it's time to do other stuff. Yeah, I really enjoy this pattern. I will link it down below, and yeah, it is my plan to make a blanket for in the camper van, a small one I can use on my lap. Because it's fingering weight, you can also knit it in DK weight, but because it's fingering weight, look how small and tiny it is. It's very portable blanket, and we will be camping most of the time in summer and spring, so then I have a nice small blanket for my lap, or I can wrap it around my shoulders, and yeah, it's really, it doesn't take a lot of space, and that's also good because we have a very small camper. Ooh. Roll your blankets. If you can do, roll your blankets. That's a heart jumping moment. My basket with bright colored mini skeins is here behind me. It is waiting to be wound up. They are waiting to be wound up for quite a while, and I did start last week. I make tiny yarn balls from those mini skeins. I prefer doing that than mini yarn cakes when they are really tiny. A big skein I turn into a yarn cake, but those tiny ones, yeah, I just love working from the ball more than from a yarn cake when it's only a small amount of yarn. My wool winder is behind me. I did wind up a big cake for another project and I got completely tangled up. It was a while ago that happened and it's really frustrating. Winding up small mini skeins by hand is really better for my mood. I do use my yarn umbrella, and it's standing here on my desk, and it's the perfect in-between task too. When I'm upstairs waiting for the laundry or whatever, or just doing other things, it's a tiny task for in between, because when I would wind them all up in once, it would be quite boring and time consuming, but every now and then a yarn skein is really satisfying. So one day all those mini skeins will be turned into yarn balls and I can knit something beautiful with it. One of the projects I can use the bright colored yarn skeins for is this project. This one is on my needles and the first one is already finished. This is a scrappy sock, but it's a special scrappy sock, and I was doubting if I already shared the story behind, but I don't think I did that in my regular episodes. I think I shared it in my Heart Jumping Friday episodes. But this has all to do with gift knitting for Christmas 2025. Last year, 2024, it was my plan to fill a gift knit basket, so I would have no stress at the end of the year and I could share all my handmade gifts with all my loved ones. I was not really satisfied with how it turned out. I only worked on it the first half of the year, and then my focus was completely on other things. So I did not have a good filled gift knit basket, but I could give my own little small family something, but I was not really happy with how my gift knits turned out. But in the end it was okay because they were all happy with what they got. But I thought, okay, next year I will do it different. And this year on Christmas Day, it was my first day I was I was caught by the flu. And I was laying in bed feeling very miserable while the rest of my family was having a very nice and cozy Christmassy time downstairs. And I couldn't do anything. I couldn't knit, I couldn't crochet, I couldn't listen an audiobook, I couldn't watch something on the no, we don't have a television in our bedroom, on the laptop. I could just lay and think. I could make good plans. So suddenly I had this lovely plan for gift knitting 2025. I thought how cool it would be when we could give the whole family hand knitted scrappy socks on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, the moment we were celebrated with this family. So it would be really lovely and connecting to catch our feet into happy scrappiness. And I'm not the only sock knitter in my family. My mom, she knits socks too. She's really a good sock knitter. She loves it. So when she came up to check how I was doing, I said, I'm not doing well, but I have a good idea. And she was enthusiastic too, so we decided to just do it. We will make every family member a pair of scrappy socks, and they all get their own colored toes, heels and cuffs, and we will make the feet and the legs with small stripes with all the yarn scraps. So yeah, I already started. This is my first sock. The second one I'm almost at the heel. I do knit them toe up. I started at the toe. I do the shadow wrap short row heel and then the leg and an extra stretchy bind off. I did choose for 5 round stripes. That's quite small and it brings a lot of yarn weaving with it. I prefer to weave in my ends because when I use an as I go method, yeah, I don't know, it doesn't look that neat as when I weave them in by hand. So it is a little bit more time consuming, but I don't care. I don't mind weaving in yarn ends, not anymore. I fooled myself and I'm still believing I love weaving in yarn ends. So I think that's a good thing. Yeah. And 5 round stripes are really good in between knitting jobs because knitting 5 rounds, it's just happened within a few minutes and it doesn't really how do you say it? The colors I pick, they are random, so I can just pick a color. What I do is I know I need 12 stripes for the foot and 14 for the leg. So I fill my little tiny basket with 12 colors, and as you can see, when I use them, I put them back in my big basket. And as you can see, I'm almost at the heel. And when I have knitted the heel, I will choose 14 colors. I will put them in my basket and I can just pick a knit and I can choose from those colors and not from the big basket. So it's, yeah, it's a little bit limited and that works good for me. So bright and colorful and really lovely to do. Yeah. The other part of the deal was because having family socks, it feels connecting. You feel connected with all the family. When I think of all the lovely feet of my family members caught in stripy socks, that is definitely a heart-jumping moment for me. That will be, I hope. And for my mom, but I really love to feel connected with my mom while we make them too. So I suggested we could make a sock knit, a family sock knit appointment every month during 2025. Just a few hours of sock knitting together, working on those stripy socks. I don't think my mom already started. Last week she didn't. And it is already the last week of January, so I should plan an appointment with my mom this week for some sock knitting with a cup of tea and some chatting. That would be lovely. So yeah, really nice to do it together. We have 14 family members, so we both need to knit 7 pairs of socks. And I think I can make it. It would be lovely if I won't have to make 6 other pairs in November and December. So yeah, I don't know if 1 pair of socks every month. It's not really necessary, of course, with 7 pairs. And yeah, I could finish them this week if I want to, but I don't know if I want to. So we shall see. I think the deadline, when the deadline is October 1st or November 1st, that would be perfect. October 1st maybe, yeah, I don't know, I don't have a strict deadline, but I really love knitting these stripy socks, and it really gives my need for colors is really fulfilled with knitting those socks. Yeah. Okay, I did buy a new knitting book. Quite exciting to add that to my collection. And of course I will tell you more about the specific knitting book in a moment. But let me start with sharing my experiences with knitting books. I don't have a lot of knitting and crochet books. I must confess, I even decluttered some crochet books a few years ago. My knowledge from knitting and crochet, I did find it mostly on the internet, and I feel a little bit vulnerable. No, that sounds weird. It's a weak spot that all my knowledge is the words depends on the connection with the internet. So a few years ago, when I quit my job as a teacher, the school where I work, they asked me what I want to receive as a goodbye present. So that was very generous, and I didn't really know what to ask. And then I thought, okay, maybe some good knitting books with a lot of technical information is a good idea, because at that moment I was considering if designing knitting patterns would be something for me. Quite soon when I tried, I realized that that's not where my talent is. So I quit that, but I do have the books. And I really love to read in my books. I don't use them quite often, but I try to get a little bit more distance from the internet. It's not that I dislike the internet and all the knowledge that's there, but it's just that I want to use it more balanced. Not only the internet, but also my books and also my own creativity. So one of the books I received from my old school was the Vogue knitting book. And it's a very, the ultimate knitting book, it's even called. It's a very thick book filled with a lot of information, and it's all technical. And it's actually a lot of all the things you need to know when you start to knit. A lot of things in this book I really wanted to know that when I was a beginner knitter, although it wouldn't really help me because my English knitting language was not really existing by then, but everything is explained in this book. So it's really helpful when you try to understand specific things. Yeah, it's all the... Oh, I even see the knitting graph paper. Oh, I didn't... Every time... Whoa! Every time I open this book, I discover new things. And I feel ashamed because I absolutely didn't realize I own this. I was searching for knitting graph paper templates for my light bright colorwork part. Oh, really? Yeah, okay, so I do have a lot more than I am aware of. But I realized when I picked this book last week, I quit using Instagram. My Instagram is hibernating right now, and quite often every day when I was having my second morning coffee, I had an Instagram moment and I scrolled through all the beautiful things people make, but I don't do that anymore. And I want to spend my time different. And then I realized I can check my knitting books. So I did do that, and then I found out there's a second, I don't know if it's a second one, there's another Vogue knitting book, and this is the Ultimate Stitch Dictionary. And I was really interested in that because I was playing with my light bright and I was doubting, will I add some color work or some structured stitch pattern? What will I use? And I was searching on Pinterest and on Ravelry for interesting stitch patterns. And then I suddenly felt the need to have a book filled with stitch patterns. Ta-da! There it is! So this book is filled with all the lovely stitch patterns, and it's lace, it's color work, it's structured, and yeah, it's just... I feel a rich woman right now because I have all the beautiful stitch patterns, and you can do so many beautiful things with your knitting. And I feel really inspired to play. I must confess I already did choose what I will do with my light bright before I received the book. But it's just, there's so much beautiful stuff in it. So I'm really happy. And I'm quite sure there are more good books. But for me, those two are enough right now. If you have other suggestions, please let me know. Not only for me, I don't need more at the moment. But also for the people who loves to read the comments. Do you have favorite knitting books? you definitely want to suggest, please let us know. I did buy, this was a gift, so I don't know where it's from, but I did buy this one at a Dutch yarn shop, which is called the Afstap. That's a yarn shop in Amsterdam. I never visited that yarn shop, but I really, of course you can buy those books at the big online stores too, but if it's possible, I prefer to buy as much as possible with the yarn at the yarn shop, and not at the big, I don't know how you call it in English, the big boys or are it girls? the big shops, the big online shops. When I can't find it in a yarn shop, I will buy it there, but I love to support the yarn shops if possible. So this is at the Afstap, I bought it, and I received a lovely card with a thank you. So yeah, really nice, really happy. I want to give you a small update on my light bright sweater. I will not deep dive in it today. I told a lot about this design last week, and I will share all the details with you when it will be a finished object. But what I do want to show you is the progress I made, the choice I made for the Sarah sauce. It's a little bit of color work. I don't know if you can see it. And I will tell more about the chart and also about my clumsiness picking this chart another time. As you can see, my biggest challenge was not to forget the lifeline. I did not forget. I am at the ribbing for the hem right now, and I was really doubting if I wanted to make a plain brown sweater with the tulip border from the tulip sweater. That's a pattern from Melody Hoffman. I have it in my library for years right now, and I really love the scalloped ribbing at the bottom. And I was really doubting, shall I make a plain brown sweater as a basic item? But then I decided I would add some color work, and then after the color work I thought I can do both. So I did start with the scalloped hem. I made one, and I decided not to finish it this way because I don't think it looks nice in this yarn. I don't know what I think about the yarn. It is Fiala Lopi. It's the little sister of Let Lopi. I knit it on quite a loose gauge. It's quite shine through. I don't know if you can see it. I think a light bright with a scallop border would look lovely in a thicker DK weight. I thought this was a DK weight, but I think it's more a sport weight, and maybe it will change when I block it, but I don't know. It doesn't feel good. Yeah, it doesn't feel good. It looks a bit poorly, those scallops on the bottom. So I will frog it, I will rip it out, and I will do a plain border, and then the sleeves and some color work at the sleeves. But I lost steam of this on this project for a little bit after the failed hem, so I didn't work on this in the weekend. I will pick it up this week. I have a problem going on right here. One of my stitch markers is catched by the yarn, and those are not those same stitch markers as the light bulb. They are not removable, so I have to cut this with a special thing. But it's just a reminder. Pay attention to your work. Yeah. So yeah, I'm still very happy with the fit. I really love the color work, and I will tell you more about this in another episode, but I wanted to show you the hem before I will remove it. Okay. Okay, last but not least, I have something very nice, or actually very sweet, to share, because I'm spoiled again by a lovely Dutch knitter. Her name is Beb. Beb is a knitter and a spinner. We have met one time before in 2019. It was at a knitting event. I can remember that, and since then, every now and then, Beb sends me lovely stuff, because she's the owner of a lot of lovely stuff. For example, a lot of cardigans are finished with Beb's buttons, and last year she sent me this beautiful bed sheet. It is not a bed sheet anymore. I was doubting if I wanted to cut in it, and finally I did. I made a skirt of it. How it's called? It was a So Liberated pattern. I actually can't remember the pattern name, but it was a new pattern last year, and I made a long beautiful skirt, which is really making me happy in summer. So Beb is really a lovely, sweet lady, and she sent me a message last week that she had another vintage bed sheet, and if I was interested, and I said, we don't have one person's bed in our house anymore, but she said you can turn it into a dress or in a skirt, and I really love it. I love the vintage colors. I didn't put it out of the plastic because I definitely can't get it back neatly, and I'm not sure what I want to do with it. It's 100% cotton, so I can turn it into a garment. Yeah, I don't know yet, so I will save it for later. What I didn't know was that she also added a beautiful piece of fabric. It's cotton with linen in a beautiful warm orange color, and she included some buttons, some tiny brown buttons, so I can make an original Beb skirt this summer. So that was really lovely. And that was not all. She also texted me that she had a woolly blanket. We have those woolly blankets, those woven woolly blankets. The vintage ones, they were made in the Netherlands too, from 100% sheep wool, and we really love those blankets. We sleep under it. My husband is not a collector, he loves to search for beautiful blankets. We don't have a lot, but Beb texted me that she had one made from her grandfather's sheep wool, and she didn't need it anymore. She owns two, and she wanted to give me the other one for in the camper van. And I felt a bit overwhelmed by all the goodness, and I asked her, don't you want to...
Even kijken hoor. Ik heb natuurlijk gisteren alles losgetrokken met die dames.
Ja, heel leuk. Bobby vindt het ook leuk.
Ja, dat ruikt naar schaapje.
Dus
Dit noemen ze blauwe tesselaar. Maar dat is dus die...
Dat kan ik niet plaatsen natuurlijk. Bij Beb in de camper. Kijk aan, ben je nog steeds aan het filmen?
Nou kijk, is dat er goed?
Ah.
Straks met plezier eronder knuffelen.